She told me she loved me, then hooked up with someone else. I never thought we'd end up like this. Looking back, I guess the first chapter of our story started not with sparks or romance, but with inside jokes and share playlists. We met in college. She was loud in the way that filled a room with warmth, and I was more of the observer. But somehow we clicked. The kind of friendship that came naturally, like finding an old hoodie that just fits perfectly every time. For a few years, we were just that, close friends. She dated other guys. I dated other people. But there was always this unspoken thread between us, something quiet but steady. We'd be each other's emergency contacts, the person to call when a shift went sideways or when a roommate breakup turned ugly. I didn't know it then, but she was falling in love with me. It was a random Tuesday night when everything changed. We were sitting on my couch, takeout containers spread around us, half watching a movie neither of us cared about. She looked at me, not with mischief or sarcasm like she usually did, but with something I couldn't name at the time. "I think I'm in love with you," she said. I blinked. "Wait, what?" "I've been in love with you for a while now," she admitted, her voice trembling just a little. I just didn't know how to say it before. I won't lie, I was stunned. I always thought I was just the safe guy, the friend, the person you trusted, but never really saw in that way. But there she was, laying it all out. And maybe this is where I should have paused. Maybe I should have taken more time to think, to really ask myself if this was the right step. But I didn't. I told her I love her too. At the time, I thought it was true. It might have been, or maybe I just wanted it to be. After that night, we started dating. It felt surreal at first, like we were playing a game where the rules suddenly changed. We already knew each other so well. Our favorite coffee orders, the shows we binged, the stories that made us cry. But dating brought something new. The way she'd look at me across the table. The small touches. The shared silences that felt different now. Things moved fast, but didn't feel rushed. She'd reach for my hand without thinking, and I'd catch myself smiling for no reason when I saw her name on my phone. We started spending even more time together. She stayed over more nights than not, and we started planning a trip together in the fall. We even talked about getting a dog someday. And then about a month in, she said it again, "I love you." But this time, it wasn't in a quiet moment or a confessional tone. It was easy like breathing. I remember holding her and thinking, this is real. We're really doing this. So imagine my shock when a week later, she brought up the exclusivity talk. We were at her apartment, eating sushi on the floor because the table was buried under laundry. She asked, "Hey, should we talk about being exclusive?" I nearly choked on my tempura roll. Wait, we weren't exclusive already. She looked at me like I'd asked the square root of Tuesday. We never talked about it. I felt something cold crawl down my spine. "You told me you loved me." She shifted, uncomfortable. "I do. I meant it. But that doesn't automatically mean exclusivity unless we agree to it." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. "Have you been seeing other people?" She didn't meet my eyes. There was someone. Just a one-night thing. It was before this conversation. My heart dropped. "You slept with someone else after telling me you loved me?" She bit her lip, looking guilty. I thought we weren't official yet. We hadn't had the talk. That's when I lost it. "You're insane," I said. "That's not how this works. You can't tell someone you love them and then sleep with someone else and call it technicality." "I didn't think you'd take it that way," she said, reaching for my hand. "I messed up. I get it. But can't we talk about it?" "No," I said. "We're done." I walked out. I didn't look back. And that was how it all fell apart. Update 1. The silence after a breakup is louder than any argument. I didn't realize how tightly we'd intertwined our lives until I tried to untangle them. Her toothbrush in my bathroom, her favorite hoodie draped over my chair, a half-finished playlist we'd been building together. I couldn't even open Spotify without stumbling into memories. For a few days, I was just numb. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just shut down. I went to work, smiled when I had to, kept my responses short, and let the rest of the world assume I was fine. Inside, I was on fire. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the rationalization. The way she acted like this was some sort of gray area. Like sleeping with someone else was a footnote in a conversation we hadn't had yet. I kept replaying it in my head. That night, she told me she loved me. She looked right into my eyes. It felt real. It was real, at least to me. And she used those words. I love you. Not I like you. Not let's see where this goes. Love. That meant something, didn't it? So I asked myself, over and over, was I crazy for thinking that meant we were exclusive? Apparently, in the dating world, that wasn't a given anymore. Some of my friends agreed with me, said that I love you was a line that shouldn't be crossed lightly. But others were more clinical. You didn't define the relationship, one said, like she was reading from a dating app rulebook. People have different expectations these days, another offered. You should have clarified earlier, someone else told me, as if I'd forgotten to read the fine print on a contract. Was I the only one left who still believed in emotional logic? I remembered sitting on the edge of my bed a few nights after it happened, scrolling through old texts. Just 2 weeks before the breakup, she had sent me a long paragraph out of nowhere. I don't know how I got so lucky. You just get me. I feel like I can finally be myself with someone. I love you. So much. I stared at that message for a long time, trying to reconcile it with what she'd done. It didn't fit. Nothing made sense. It was like she was two people, the one who said she loved me, and the one who compartmentalized enough to sleep with someone else the next week. The worst part? I wanted to talk to her. I wanted her to say something that would make it all make sense. And she did reach out. A few texts, nothing dramatic. I'm sorry. I know you're hurting. Can we talk when you're ready? Please don't hate me. I didn't respond. Not yet. I wasn't ready to open that door again. Instead, I buried myself in distractions. I met up with friends, stayed out late, kept myself busy with anything that didn't involve being alone in my thoughts. But it always caught up to me. At night, lying in bed, I'd remember the way she laughed when I did that dumb impression of her boss, or how she used to leave sticky notes on my coffee machine with quotes from books we both loved. That version of her, the one I fell for, felt like a ghost now, and I didn't know which version was real. One night, maybe a week after the breakup, I finally answered one of her texts. Why did you do it? I wrote. She responded quickly. I didn't think we were exclusive. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you. I was scared of how fast things were moving. I panicked. You could have talked to me, I replied. Before. Not after. I know. I messed up. I just didn't know how to say I was scared. It made me angrier. Not calmer. Not kinder. Angry. Because if she was scared, if she was unsure, why say she loved me at all? Why pull me in deeper only to leave me drowning? I typed out 100 messages. Deleted them all. In the end, I just wrote, you broke something I don't think can be fixed. She didn't reply to that one. After that, the silence settled in again. But this time it wasn't empty. It was final. That's when I started realizing how differently we saw the world. To her, exclusivity was a checkbox, something you mark with a conversation, not a connection. To me, saying I love you was the checkbox. It was the line you didn't cross unless you were ready to commit. It wasn't about being old-fashioned. It was about respect. She said she loved me, and then slept with someone else. No matter how many ways I tried to bend the truth or entertain her version of events, it all came back to that. And that's what cracked everything open. The foundation we built, all those years of friendship, the laughter, the trust, it wasn't strong enough to hold the weight of that kind of betrayal. I started to realize I wasn't just mourning the end of a relationship. I was mourning the loss of someone I thought I knew. Someone I thought knew me. Update 1. Grief is a strange thing. It doesn't come in tidy stages. It shows up in waves. One moment you're making breakfast, and the next you're standing in your kitchen with a cracked egg dripping onto the floor, wondering how you ended up here. Wondering how someone who said, I love you, could hurt you like this. After that last message, I didn't expect to hear from her again. I thought we were done. But people like us, with shared memories, mutual friends, years of friendship before anything romantic, don't just vanish from each other's lives. We echo. The first echo came 2 days later. My phone buzzed with a message from Kayla, a mutual friend. Hey, just a heads up, she might be at the game night Friday. Don't want you to be blindsided. I appreciated that, and I told Kayla I wouldn't come. I needed distance, not just from her, but from everything that reminded me of what we'd been. I found myself pulling back from a group. It wasn't intentional at first, just self-preservation. Every event risked becoming a minefield. Someone would mention her name. Someone else might ask what happened. Even when they didn't, the silence around the topic was loud. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want people picking sides. But the real fallout was internal. I started doubting myself in ways I hadn't in years. Was I too rigid? Too quick to walk away? Should I have forgiven her, like some people suggested? No. Every time I replayed that moment, her face when she admitted what she'd done, the way she tried to soften the blow with logic, I remembered the ache in my chest, that sharp, hollow feeling that said, "You're not safe here anymore." That's what broke me. Not just that she slept with someone else, but that she expected me to understand, to justify it. A few nights later, I sat across from my friend Marcus at a late-night diner. The kind of place where the fries are always slightly soggy, but the coffee is bottomless and strong. He didn't try to analyze the situation. He just listened. After I finished venting for the 5th time, I asked, "Do you think I overreacted?" Marcus took a slow sip of his coffee. "You reacted the way someone does when they've been betrayed. That's not an overreaction. That's human." But she said she thought we weren't exclusive. Like, technically, I guess we didn't have that talk. "Man, screw technicalities," he said. She knew what she was doing. You don't tell someone you love them and then turn around and hook up with someone else unless you're either incredibly naive or incredibly selfish. Maybe both. I stared into my cup, watching the steam curl upward. "She's not a bad person." "No," Marcus said, "but she made a bad choice. And now she's facing the consequences." That hit harder than I expected, because I didn't want her to be the villain. I didn't want to carry around bitterness. I didn't want to hate her. But I also couldn't pretend I wasn't still bleeding from the cut she didn't think would leave a scar. The days kept moving. I started going out more again. I let people ask about it, if they really wanted to know. I kept my answers short and vague. We weren't on the same page. It just didn't work out. We had different expectations. The truth was longer, messier, not meant for casual conversation. And then, one weekend, I ran into her. Not planned. Just bad luck. She was standing at the end of the bar, laughing with someone from our group. When she saw me, her expression changed. She looked surprised, then nervous. She walked over slowly, like approaching a wild animal. "Hey," she said, voice gentle. "Hey, you look good," she offered. I didn't know how to respond. I was wearing a hoodie and old jeans. I didn't feel good. I felt like someone pretending to be okay. She paused, then said, "Can we talk?" I nodded, reluctantly. We stepped outside, away from the crowd and music and dim lights, trying to make everything seem prettier than it was. She started first. "I'm sorry. For everything." I said nothing. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she went on. "I really didn't think we were exclusive. I know that sounds like an excuse, but it wasn't just that. I was scared. I've never been in something so real." "That's what made it worse," I finally said. "You knew it was real. You said it was real. And then you did something you knew would break it." I panicked. "You could have panicked with me," I said, voice low. "You could have told me you were scared. You didn't have to go somewhere else to figure that out." She looked down. I know. I could see she meant it. That the guilt was real. But it didn't change anything. "I'm not trying to win you back," she added. "I just needed you to know that I still love you. And I regret what I did." I took a breath. Let out slowly. "Thanks. But it's too late now." "I know. And I need space. From you. From all of this." She nodded. "Okay." We stood there for a few seconds. Two people who used to finish each other's sentences, now struggling just to share a sidewalk. "Goodbye," I said finally.